Hello and welcome to Let's Get Real. My name's Sue Eldridge and these are my fabulous friends.
Hi, I'm Marge Russell.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Hi, I'm Ali Wilson and I'm a medium. Okay, a large. And actually, if we're talking about Miss Selfridge, a 4XL, and in fact, they have actually moved, I'm sure that they have moved the theft detectors so that I actually can't get into the shop anymore. And when I was trying to return a jumper for my daughter, I had to just hand it through to the assistant on the other side. So what is that all about?
What is all that about?
Well, I don't know if you've gathered, guys, but today we're talking about body image and actually the effect it can have on every single one of us. What about you, Marge?
Yeah, it does have an effect on me, even at my age, and it is something that I think we battle with all the time, because we were just laughing and talking and we've been WhatsApping to one another all week about what do we wear to come on TV, and getting a bit stressed about the colour, how much do we weigh, and there's been a lot of laughter as well as angst. And you know, you just get to think, where do we pick that up from? It starts as children, I think, you know, the pressure to look a certain way. I mean, what do you think?
I think in Africa, I would be a perfect size. I'd be the pin-up girl. I just need to move to Africa.
Why is that? Why would you be the pin-up girl in Africa?
Because because being large signifies wealth and prosperity.
Feed your wife up.
My life, are we prosperous?
Absolutely.
I would say I was the most prosperous of all. But I think it's, and we were laughing about it, but I know for me it's had a huge effect on my life and held me back in many ways. My way of almost covering up, I suppose it was shame of my body images to joke and to joke about it. So I would always make fun, and I do still do that. I make fun of my body, thinking, well, I'll do that before anyone else does. And I have got to the stage where I love me. I mean, and that's a huge thing to love. Me is a huge thing. I wasn't actually referring to my size at that moment, but it's like being aware. So I do something called Alive and Kicking, and it's really just an empowerment school for women, and we talk about our identity and loving ourselves. And I say, you know, the truth is I'm overweight. That would be stupid to go, no, I'm overweight, but that doesn't equate to ugly, lazy, greedy, and all the other things that we sort of associate with that. And so I've got to the point where I accept myself. It's not that I don't try very hard to maybe be more healthy, and I exercise and that sort of thing, but it can be such a, I'm going to say this word wrong, debilitating thing, having a very low body image.
And I think there's a lie that we've got in our head that if we were thin, we'd be happy.
Absolutely.
I think it's because of those Barbie dolls you all said you had on the last programme. You all thought you should be like Barbie, but I didn't have a Barbie doll.
No, I had a Cindy doll because Barbie was like a bit too loose.
Yeah.
Cindy, she was a nice girl.
So do you think you should be like Cindy, or are you happy with how you are?
I think Cindy is my dream.
The thing is, we're bombarded by it, aren't we? Because every other advert on TV is about joining Slimming World, take these tablets and you'll lose more weight.
I go to Slimming World every year.
Every year?
Just once a year?
Every year. And the same fat people are sitting there every year and they've paid their money.
Yeah.
Well, what's that all about?
Because it's a constant battle for some people, and it's not for everybody. But for some people, it is a constant battle. And actually, I know that if I was going to be Marge, which is my aspiration, okay, I would have to spend my whole life thinking about what I eat, what I don't eat. My whole thinking would have to be consumed by watching every single thing, because our whole family just has this tendency to put on weight. And I'm not saying that's not about what goes in your mouth, because let's not pretend it isn't. Yeah, but I would never sit and eat a whole packet of biscuits or eat loads of things at once. Like, you know, but I eat what I would call sensibly and relatively healthily. And then, but it's still a battle.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely true. But I think, you know, if you just look at creation, the flowers, the birds, every sort of race has such diversity in it. And yet, as human beings, we sort of seem to feel we have to look like this and we have to look like that. But, you know, if we actually believe that we were made in the image of God, if we actually dare to believe that before creation was formed, he had us in mind, that means he had he knew what height I'd be, and he knew the colour of my hair, and he knew where my curves would be, and he actually put them in the places he wanted them to be. If we actually believe that, yes, we can look after ourselves. It's not oh, well, this is me, like it all. No, no, no. But it's actually, God created me, and he loves me just as I am. And so my aim, and I think this is one of the things that came out when we were talking about being on the show and what we wear, it's like, my thing was, it isn't, I don't want to choose my clothes or have my makeup done so that everybody goes, oh my goodness, isn't she gorgeous? I want to do it so that people go, oh my goodness, she's a larger lady, and she's in, you know, she's in her 50s and she's a larger lady, but actually she looks okay. She looks quite good. Wow. And so there's somebody at home that's feeling overweight. Well, I'm a size 18 to 20, and I don't care what size you are. I don't care how tall you are or short you are. I don't care about the size of your nose. You are beautiful, and you can make the most of yourself. You can make the most. You can have fun with clothes and makeup and hair. It's just being free, I think.
But where does that come from?
Where does which come from?
That thought that we have to look like the perfect person.
I think that is media.
Drilled into us
from early age.
From an early age.
Yeah. You're bombarded with it everywhere.
But I disagree with you, actually. I'd like people to look and say, she's 30 and she's gorgeous.
And then they put the glasses on. Oh, no, sorry.
I am the eldest here, so, yeah.
Allegedly.
Just a bit of... oh, yeah, allegedly, because you
allegedly. I'm not telling her out.
Tell me. But I think the media has a lot to answer for it. You know, we were just saying over breakfast that I was...
over our bacon and egg sandwiches.
Yes. Over my yoghurt and berries. I was appalled at the way the magazines just run down celebrities, you know, and so you see like celebrity cellulite watch, and they're secretly filming, and it really does cause other people to think, oh, I can't look like that. And instead of celebrating what you've got, let's put it down unless you look a certain way. So,
I tell you what, I so admire the French for their stand with models.
Yes.
You know, and what they've done with that, and they won't have, I can't remember what size it is, but they've certainly gone down. They've certainly said, we won't have any models below a size 0 or whatever it is, I can't remember, but I thought...
No, size 0 is the smallest.
They won't have it. I can't remember. It might be at something like a 10.
Yeah, I think
but they
an
won't
8,
go anything lower. And
like
I think that, considering they're quite a fashionista type country, I was really impressed.
Yes.
And I do think that should be followed through. But then there's so much television programmes, advertising, you know, all those sort of things. I know mannequins, they're trying to change and have more realistic size mannequins in shops. And I think this is all a positive thing, alongside being healthy.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it is a challenge for us to resist falling in with what we're told all the time. And like I say, we said it's not about not looking after yourself, is it? But it is about loving ourselves on the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
it really is important.
It's so important to love ourselves where we're at. It doesn't mean we necessarily even have to stay at that place.
No.
But we should be loving ourselves wherever we are, on that journey. And sometimes people have just got loads of stuff going on in life, and dealing with the weight is something that they just can't deal with at that moment in time. And does that matter? Should they be judged for that?
No, I totally agree.
Well, I've been married 32 years and my husband still thinks I'm a babe when I'm butt naked, so that's fine by me.
Take that thought captive, did you say?
Take that, every thought captive.
Well, at least somebody does.
Thanks for sharing that, Marge.
We've got Rachel coming on after, and she was telling us in the break how she works with the homeless and they like pampering.
Yeah.
So we also all like to be
we
pampered.
do.
We like
Yes,
to
we
look
do.
good.
Yeah, we
You
do.
know, and if I'm not feeling good about myself, I might not put my makeup on. I might slob around the house, and that's not good either.
No.
No,
There's
it's not.
something about knowing that we look good that makes us feel good,
Yeah.
but we're not dependent on that.
That's right.
That is
It's what's
really
on the
true.
inside.
I think
Absolutely.
that's really what we did, isn't it?
Yeah.
We like, okay, well we accept who we are, we love who we are, and we're just going to we're not perfect by any means, but we'll just do the best that we can. But I do think that there's something about, I don't know, what do you think, that there's something about being a Christian woman, is there even more pressure on?
Depends which stream you're in, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we think of the
Certainly.
American Christian woman, made up, looking slim, and or
Yeah.
Joyce Mayo. I mean, she's had 2 facelifts, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Very brave.
I just
wouldn't.
I
I'm
know.
not brave enough to go there.
Yeah.
I
But do we need to? And this is another
No.
thing, you know, because it's not a judgment at all. I'm just saying, because we're just discussing it, but how far do we need to go?
I suppose if she
be the
feels
best.
free to do that,
Yes, absolutely.
then
I have no problem.
we can't judge her. She's free to,
No,
she's
that's what
free
I'm
to
saying.
do
I'm
that.
not judging it. I'm
No.
just saying.
But if that's a
yeah.
role model that we feel we have to aspire to, then
That's
there's a
right.
problem.
That's,
Yes,
right.
that's right.
And that's the difference, isn't
That
it?
is the thing. If we think, then we should do
Yeah.
that.
And
That
I
is it.
also think, when we were saying we were making the most of ourselves, and I totally agree with that, but sometimes you don't. I can remember Tim and I came and did a show for God TV, a live show, and it was sort of like, went down to Plymouth, and it was a bit of a rush to get there, and there was all sorts of things going on. And I spoke to somebody afterwards, and they said, you know, we really loved the show, it was really real. But one of the things that I really liked was that you needed your roots doing, Sue. And she said, and I was taken aback at first, and she said, no, but the thing is that you felt free enough to come on needing your roots doing, and I'm going, well, I didn't have a chance to get them done. But actually, the fact that I needed my roots doing wasn't a deal breaker. Do I go on
That's right.
and share God's love with people or
and
not?
I think that's the issue. It's not about
Exactly.
what we do. It's about what's inside
is.
and driving what we do.
It's
But
so
do you
true.
think that
Yeah.
people fuss about how they look because they're worried about what other people will think of them? So they're not happy with who God has made them to be. It's
Yes.
what do you think? What will everybody think? I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
was
is.
like that growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a huge
They
pressure.
won't like my shoes aren't quite. I remember my daughter as a young teenager having a hissy fit. I mean, we laugh about it now because we'd bought her a pair of shoes to go with a uniform, but then she discovered that they weren't quite the same shape as all her friends, and she wanted another one to fit in. And that is what a lot of it is about. It's will I fit in and be accepted if I look
it
a
is.
certain way, I'm a certain size.
That's right.
And it's a lie that needs to be broken. And do we need to be raising our kids to know that you are accepted as you are and you don't have to believe all those lies?
I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
I think
basic
that's
message
true.
of the gospel, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I just feel that there's going to be people watching that are maybe, you know, this is really touching a nerve. I know that there would have been a time when if I'd have watched this, I'd have been sat on my sofa crying
Really?
because it was such a huge issue to me. So we as unperfect,
Real
but
women.
real
women.
beautiful women, we just want to tell you that you are beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, when your daddy God looks at you, he delights. You know, it says somewhere in the Bible that he sings over you.
That's right.
He has a song for you. He knew you before the creation of the world. He'd planned you. He was excited and he looked forward to the day you were born. He treasures you. You're the apple of his eye. And I just feel he wants you to know that right now.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, however you feel, whatever you look like, you're his. You're his kid. And we just bless you. And I just pray that Holy Spirit would hover over your mind and emotions, and that the truth about who you are will be so much louder than the lies. And the truth about who you are will actually be so much louder than what you see in the mirror. That you may see you in the fullness of your glory and the fullness of your beauty. So yeah, be blessed. Be blessed. Be blessed. And we're just going to take a few moments and watch this.
Welcome back to Let's Get Real. And we have an amazing guest this afternoon, Rachel Cole from Liverpool. We're going to find out lots about what she's doing, and she's doing a lot. So Rachel, I heard you've been doing some amazing work with the homeless. Tell us more about that.
Well, basically, I've had a passion to work with the homeless for lots of years now. It started, shall I tell you where it started?
Yeah, please.
So it started when I finished university, a few years back now. I was in London, and my friend and I had the opportunity to go to South Africa. And I was like, yep, love it, go and see some of the world. And we went out there, and we were working in a street boys home with teenage homeless boys. And we were working in an AIDS haven with mums and babies and kids with HIV and AIDS. And I absolutely loved it. And I was like, I want to stay here forever. You know, when you go to one of those places and it just captures your heart, doesn't it? And you fall in love with it. And I was quite a new Christian at the time. You know, it was all quite new to me, having a faith. But this lady came and prayed for me while I was out in South Africa, and she said, I really feel like God wants to use you to work with the poor in your homeland, in your home country. And I was like, oh no, I want to stay in South Africa. But just something in my heart was like, yeah. And from that moment, I just really had a heart for the UK, for England, and in particular for the poor. So what I've been doing in South Africa, God gave me that heart for this country.
That's beautiful.
So practically when I came back, I was like, how does this look? How does this work being back in England? Because it's very different than being in Africa or somewhere, isn't it? So I thought, right, I want to be a social worker. I'm going to be a social worker. I had no experience. I had no idea what I was setting myself up for, but I knew I needed to get experience. So I applied to this organisation, and I said in my heart, I prayed, and I was like, okay, I want to stay in London where I've been at university, and I want to work with children because they're cute, got no issues. And and that was kind of my prayer that I prayed. But in my heart, I said, but God, I'll go wherever you send me. And the organisation came back to me and they said, we want to send you to a place called Stoke-on-Trent. I didn't even know where it was. My geography is rubbish. And we want you to work in a homeless centre for 18 plus, like adults. And I was like, oh, this was not what I asked for. But I knew in my heart that it was the right thing to do. So that's where my journey began, really. So I worked for the next 18 months in a direct access homeless hostel, and I'd have to sleep there sort of 3 or 4 nights a week. So it was almost like I was living there with the men and women. So they'd knock on my door in the night, asking for a lighter and different things. I'd be like, I don't smoke. But it was, that's probably where my heart just literally was just so broken. I fell in love with these people. And I knew that's what God had for my life, that was where I was meant to be for the next however many
That's
years.
amazing.
So that's where my journey started, really.
And I heard you've been doing VIP events for the homeless.
Oh, yeah.
Pampering.
Yeah, pampering. So yeah, so that came a few years later. I'd moved to Manchester and joined an amazing church there called King's Church. And I just had this sort of, you know, you have like dreams, don't you, sometimes? And and you kind of, as soon as you speak them out, you think, oh, I've got to do something about that now. And I had this dream of like doing a kind of like a wedding banquet, but for the homeless. And I'd help at like soup runs all the time on the streets, and they do a fabulous job. But it would always be like plastic cups and plastic plates, and it was just like, you know, although they appreciated it, it was nothing very special. And I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could highlight the best venue in the city, like a wedding, and make it like literally like red carpet treatment, bring them in like limousines, you know, do like kind of like, you know, a silver service meal, and then pamper them, do their hair, their nails, their makeup, give them clothes, like new clothes or really good secondhand clothes. But then within that, give them stories, good news, you know, stories of how people's lives have really been changed by knowing Jesus and having a faith in Jesus. People that have gone through a lot of the same sort of similar things to them. So I shared this with some friends at the church, and they were like, "Well, I think you should do it." I was like, "Oh, okay." So we did our first VIP in Manchester in 2003, and we just did it initially for women. I think because they thought the women were less scary, and I think we had about 20 to 30 women that came, and they got goodie bags, they got pampered, they loved it, and they got to hear good news, and we got to pray with many of the women, and we started to build relationship with them, and then we asked if we could do it again, and the guys that were leading our church were like, "Yep, go for it," and then after about 18 months, we said, "Can we do a men's one?" And that was great, and it just grew. And then we decided that we'd try a mixed one. We were like, this could be chaos, could be crazy. And we did a mixed one, and we had about 200 men and women that came to it.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's where the journey started with VIP.
That costs a lot of money. How do you fund it?
Loads. That's a great question. So every time we do VIP, so we're now in Liverpool, obviously, so we do VIP in Liverpool, but they still do it in Manchester as well.
Do they? Oh,
yeah,
That's lovely.
which is great.
They've carried it on.
Yeah, and a few
Great.
other cities around the country that we've got friendships with are doing it in Southport and down in Coventry and different places. But it's always a step of faith, because like all these things, it costs money, and we want to give the men and women the ultimate best.
Yeah.
So, you know, quite a few times people are like, "Oh, well, we'll just use plastic plates, or you would just do this," and I'm like, no, because that's not. I really believe the heart behind it is that it's extravagant love and extravagantly blessing these men and women. And like, we all love being pampered and blessed, don't we? But I just really feel like these particular men and women need an extra special amount of love and blessing. So the one we just did, being really honest, at Christmas cost us £3,500.
I can imagine.
So it's not by no means cheap. So it's like it's a step. Every time we step out to do it, we have no money, diddly squat, and we're just like, God, we just trust that you will provide the money for this. And we get different organisations giving us money, individuals giving us money. So yeah, it really is a step of faith every time. And I think, you know, in my mind, I'd love it to be even bigger. I'd love it to be even more extravagant. But you were just building it year upon year.
What comes to mind is where the woman broke the oil over Jesus' feet, and it was very costly. As you say, why you could feed 400 homeless plus for what it costs you, but that's not God's heart, is it?
No, and I think that's it, and we want to give them the best, so every year it's just building upon it bit by bit.
Beautiful.
And I think one of the most beautiful stories, if I can share it, it was a couple of years ago. There's this amazing lady in our church, Jan, and we had the pamper room. And there was like foot spas, you know, you can go and get your feet massaged, and they're like the nail ladies and stuff. And this gentleman came in, and he was like, "Oh, I'd love to have a go in the foot spa." But he was a little bit sort of sheepish about it. And this lady, Jan, was like, "Yeah, come over." And bless him, like, obviously not his fault. He'd been living on the streets, but he really smelt. And, you know, it wasn't his fault, just his circumstances. And she sat him down on the chair, she didn't even flinch, and she took off his shoes, she took off his socks, and I'm like a weeping mess watching all this in the corner of the room. But as she took off the socks, they were stuck to his feet, because he'd been wearing the same socks for about 3 months. So she had to get these pair of scissors and chop off the socks, and they were like all crusted with blood and just, But she didn't even flinch, she just washed the blood off them, she cleaned them, she cut his nails, she moisturised his feet. And honestly, it was the most godly Jesus-like thing I've ever seen. happened before. So the rest of us in the room are like, like weeping watching this. But the man left. Honestly, we put on some brand new socks and some new shoes on his feet, and literally he left like a different person because he'd been shown like such a simple thing, but it was like it was love, and it was and he was like, you know, why would people do this for us? And we were like, because you're amazing, and we love you, and Jesus thinks you're amazing. And I mean, there's so many highlights of VIP, but that's one of those things that you think, this will stay with me for the rest of my life. It was just so
where
precious.
do you find the people, obviously, the homeless, but are they referred from agencies, or do you just go out and invite people, or how do you do that?
I think it's come over time, building relationships. So we just go around all the hostels in Liverpool, and we go into them in person, and we just say, a lot of them know us now, but we just say, hi, we're from VIP, and so most of them know who we are now, and we just say, we'd love to invite your men and women to our event, and we'll come and pick them up and we'll drop them back. And then who doesn't turn down a nice pamper party? I mean, I'm there. So we've had hostel managers and come along as well. I think probably initially to sort of check us out and see what you're doing, but actually, you know, we had a hostel manager give her life to Jesus at one of our events, and we've had 2 minibus drivers give their lives to Jesus because they're so blown away and bowled over by what's going on. So a lot of the secular organisations will come along to check it out, and they're just like, this is amazing.
It is amazing, Rachel.
Yeah, just because it's just a really precious thing to do, like, and so many people have caught the heart of it. It's like we have more than, sometimes we've got too many volunteers, we're like, no more, in a good way.
We want to be there, we want to be there. That
So
is just so beautiful, isn't it?
So lovely.
And we literally, and some of the buses that go out to pick up some of the guests literally just drive around the streets finding people, come on, get in.
So how do you know how many people are going to turn up?
We don't. It's like a total thing of faith. So when we, even like with the catering and making the goodie bags, it's all the step of faith. So we'll phone around the hostels a week before and say, you know, have you got any idea of people that want to come? But obviously some of them are there one day, they've left the next day. So, you know, they can give us an idea of numbers, but 2 days later it'd be completely different. And you'll go to one hostel and they'll say 20 people were meant to be coming, but there's 3, and another one there was 3 and there's like 30 that want to come. So it really is a step of faith.
I was thinking, people are watching this and they think, well, I can't do that for the homeless. I live in Southampton, we've got a lot of homeless on the streets. What would you say to someone out there about what they can do?
Just small acts of kindness. So we go out on a Wednesday with a little team every Wednesday into Liverpool, and we keep it dead simple. We get a table, not as posh as this one, but we get a table and and we put some flasks on it, and we on the flasks we put like cakes and goodies and all sorts of things like that, and basically just use it as an opportunity to meet people and just to love on them and to pray with them. But it's really simple, like it's something you could do anywhere. And then people come and they're like, what's all this about? As you're giving them a free cake or sandwich or hot chocolate, and we just say, we just want to bless you, we're Christians, we're just from a local church, and we just want you to know that Jesus thinks you're fantastic. And it's a really simple thing, and quite a few of our friends in different places have started doing that as a means. And although we get people from every walk of life coming to the table, we get a lot of homeless people coming, and it's a simple way that I think, you know, I love it. I watch people that are friends of ours that have never gone out on the streets before, and they're like, this would fill me with dread. And you think, but then you see them and suddenly like you watch them on the streets and they're incredible. They're like giving someone a drink, the next minute they're like, oh, let me pray for this. And and I think it's amazing to see people that naturally might be quite introvert or quiet and like, oh, this isn't really my thing, and you see them stepping out and you're like, oh my goodness, it's so like good. It's the most amazing thing to see.
And even as like an individual, you can do. I never walk past a homeless person without talking to them. You know, and usually I'll go and buy them some food, but just sometimes I can't. You know, because I'm in a rush or because they're in anywhere nearby to get something. But I'll usually say to them, what would you like? Because I think just buying them something, they might not like it. But just talking to them, and looking them in the eye.
It's true.
And
just
going,
are you okay?
And they'll quite often they'll say to me, oh no, I've got bad chest or I've got that, and I'll go, I haven't got anything. Sometimes I'll say, do you need me to get you something from the chemist for it? And sometimes I'll say, I'll pray for you. And they'll let you. And it's just treating them like a human being.
And they want to be seen. They want to be seen. It's like they're not this invisible thing.
That's right. And they'll say to me, just thank you for talking to me. And treat me like a human being, really, is what they're saying. And I think it's so important just to do that. If that's the most that you can do,
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's it. It's treating people like you would want to be treated, isn't it?
Exactly.
And, you know, I love it. Like our heart behind working with the homeless and with VIP is that seeing people's lives change beyond recognition.
Yes.
And even now, like, you know, we could go back to our old church in Manchester and there's, you know, I can think of a couple of guys that are in the church and they're like on the stewarding team, they're really involved there, and you wouldn't even know that they first came through VIP. And you think that's just such a beautiful
I love it. I love it.
example of like lives that are changed beyond recognition that you wouldn't know they used to be on the streets or doing this or whatever. And yeah, just passionate about
good.
it.
And you do something else as well called Jesus Loves.
Yeah.
Because we came and spoke at like a training thing in the morning, you did, and then we had to leave. So what happened after that? What happens? Because you
Revival
do it every year, don't you?
When they left,
Yes.
When she
And
left, revival came.
just the thing Jesus loves, because obviously your love and your passion for the lost, for the disadvantaged is so evident. So tell us about Jesus Loves and what was the inspiration and what are your highlights in that?
Well, inspiration's always Jesus. But I think it all started really, we moved to Liverpool in 2010 and just instantly, even though my husband's from Manchester and supports Man United, instantly fell in love with Liverpool and just had a real heart to bring people together in the city, churches together in the city, and go and love the city with God's extravagant love. And we were like, okay, we've got to start small because it's like step by step, isn't it? And so we gathered some people together this was in summer 2011, and we just gathered together in a living room, and we were like, we're just going to encourage with some teaching, and then in the afternoon we're just going to go out into the city centre, and we're just going to, we set up like bases like that I said before, with a table, with goodies, and we had some worship going on, and then we'd see people that just were giving their lives to Jesus, wanting prayer for healing, all like amazing things happening on the streets. And then we'd come together in the evening and just worship and celebrate and that. But we did that just in a home. And then the next year we were like, we should take this into like a building or, you know, open it up, because that was just like 40 people. So the next year in 2012, we hired a hotel. I think that was the summer you came to equip us before.
Right.
So you came to meet with our core team before the event started. And we kind of, again, took it as a step of faith. We were like, could just be me, Judah, my husband, and our little girl having a great time. But people showed up, so that was exciting to start with. And people came from so many different churches across the city, and that alone was like, you know, an amazing thing. And then we'd have great teaching, wonderful men and women come in and share in the morning, and then the afternoon we'd send them all out on double-decker buses. Even if they were kicking and screaming, we'd be like, off you go. They weren't really kicking and screaming. And we'd send them to different parts of the city, but it wasn't about serving our local church that me and my husband lead. It was about serving other churches. So it was never about us. It was all about serving other people. And we'd go and do like outreach in those different places, dead simple setup. And then it's just grown each year. So we've just faithfully done it now for how many years? I can't count. I think it's 7 years.
Yeah, it's been a long
about 7
time.
years, yeah. So we're doing it this summer in July. Yeah, we're excited. It's just faithfully growing each year. So last year we had about 1,200 people come to it. And it wasn't just people from Liverpool. People came from further afield as well. And just the stories we hear from people, the impact it's had on them back in their home towns and cities, and what they've kind of taken back to there. So yeah.
It's such a great conference. Oh my goodness. I mean, we put on a conference, but Tim and I just love coming to Jesus Loves because it's just full of life. It's such an exciting event. I would encourage anybody to go and really to learn from what you do and take it to their cities, because every city needs Jesus' love, and I just think that's superb. So well done.
This is great. Absolutely. One of our girls regularly goes.
Oh yeah.
She just loves it, and if she has to miss it, she's really disappointed.
Well, yeah, I'd be disappointed.
So how did you start to pull the churches together to create that evangelistic team right at the beginning? How did you try and get them to do that?
Really just building relationships. So we went above and beyond to just build relationships with local leaders and pastors in the city and just make friends with them and look for ways to to bless them. So if someone was in hospital, we'd, you know, maybe send them a food hamper. Someone needed to get home to see a sick parent in South Africa, we bought them a flight. So we just tried to look for ways to extravagantly love the leaders in our city. And as we built relationships with them, it kind of opened up relationships with the whole churches. And just slowly, bit by bit, just look for ways we could bless them and serve them. And then, and we are really blessed. We've got so many great relationships and friendships with other churches around the city, but it's not been an overnight thing. It's just, you know, been built over the last 8 years.
That's beautiful.
So, Rachel, we're coming to the close. We could talk to you all day, but just before we finish, what are your future dreams and aspirations?
Future dreams and aspirations.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. I think obviously we lead a local church open well in Liverpool, and we want to see that thriving. We're passionate too about local church, and so that's, you know, obviously one of our dreams is to get a building there that we can use for a lot of kind of outreach related things as well, like a real centre. I think my heart's always been to have some kind of homeless home as well, so that we have a church building but we also have a home. So I love going out on the streets and meeting people. I love doing VIPs, but there's always that pang in my heart of like, I've got nowhere to bring you to, although we work closely with Victory Outreach that have men and women's homes in Liverpool. It's a Christian home, doing an amazing job. But I would love, you know, for us to have a home like that.
Fantastic.
So there's this old building in Liverpool on Orphan Drive, and it's like an old derelict hospital. I know. I'm like, it needs using. And it's like an old hospital not been used for years, and I often think like that would be amazing. It would house I don't know, a lot of people. So I think my ultimate dream, I'd love to have some kind of dream centre type place where
I love that.
People,
That's so exciting. It's been absolute delight having you. Thank you so much. I bet you've so enjoyed hearing Rachel's story. And you know what? If you want to find out more about the VIP project or Jesus Loves, all the information is on the screen. And from all of us here at Get Real, have a great day. God bless.